Hey, sorry if I repeat facts from this video. I'm not the brightest and I didn't check. Not counting pre-release versions, there were only 3 updates that were both 1 day or less apart for Baldi's Basics Plus, and the slowest to fastest update that were released were 0.1 to 0.1.1, which was around exactly 36 hours. Version 0.5.1 to 0.5.2, which was around 25 hours and 47 minutes. And then 0.2 to 0.2.1, which was 2 hours and 23 minutes. Wow, that's freaking fast! Baldi was an accident created by Mistman. Speaking of which, the dude kinda looks like the 99 guy. Isn't that awesome? If you get detention and quit the game or you die by Baldi, then the red text is still there, but this won't really matter after this video comes out because version 0.8 changes that, so yeah. In the second campfire minigame, if you accidentally put a bigger number, the fire would grow, and it accidentally put a smaller number, then it would shrink. Occurred is spelt wrong in the Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered Rare Game Over. The rocks in the field trip area make a 99. There's a whole page in the Baldi wiki just for mentioned characters, like Johnny's parents, or an unnamed student, etc. Speaking of which, on the same page it says that prior to Baldi's Basics Plus version 0.3.5, the file name of this chalkboard was named chalk_so long jerk. I've had enough of your horrible management. I haven't seen my family in 3 days. I'm leaving .png. There's only 6 non-tile aligned objects, I think, and those are the lockers, the tape player, the lockdown doors, the merry-go-round, the trees, and the furniture. The Beast Soda and Zesty item machines with the Get a Crazy Item poster aren't aligned, they're both different. When you would win the field trip demo and get more than 50,000 points, you would get a quote-unquote speed boost. There's no difference between a positive and a negative seed. For example, seed 1 and seed -1 are the exact same. To add on to the last fact, I tried doing this with 0. You can't enter in a -0 in the seed, which is, obvious. But I tried. Gotta Sweep's closet is the smallest room in Baldi's Basics. Prior to version 1.4.2 in Baldi's Basics Classic, you can unlock doors with the principal keys, so you're basically wasting them. Buttons can't spawn on floor 1. Playtime and Baldi are the only characters to have their own song. The You Can ThinkPad answers can only range from -9 to 18, so if you answer more or less than that, what are you doing? Around 2/3 of the WD No Squee item is blue. Debug room has not been available since version 0.4, and it doesn't even say that on the 0.4 wiki page. Wow. In the ending of the field trip demo, Baldi's pants are purple. If you click the exit button in Baldi's Basics Plus, and then click another button while Baldi is saying, "Thanks for playing," then you don't quit the game. You get a mod menu for Baldi's Basics Plus, spam all the different levels, and just try a random level out, some wacky stuff happens. This also happens if you just hit restart level and then skip level like a bunch of times. On the Steam page for the version 0.4 teaser, Dr. Reflex has different sprites than compared to now. Wow. The error chunks.png file seen in the secret room for the party mode of Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered is just this image at a different angle. While First Prize doesn't push the player when you have a faculty name tag, he does say his voice lines, which is cool. Mistman has ripped one of his own Baldi shirts before. Speaking of merch, the Me character is wearing a Basically Game shirt. One of the most well-known items, the safety scissors, weren't even added until version 1.3 in Baldi's Basics Classic. Of course, in the first version of Baldi's Basics Classic, there were big globes in the principal's office instead. But did you know that you could originally stand behind these globes to hide from Baldi? Kinda useful, but I just found it interesting. The only item you can't buy with YTPs in Johnny's store is the bus pass, and even the nothing item costs 50 YTPs, even though it's not sold. The Campfire Frenzy song did not have to be that much of a banger. The only chalkboard that was changed in Baldi's Basics Classic was the "Sorry, too lazy to add more subjects" one. There are 2 instances that I know of in the Baldi franchise where something gets burnt: the Baldi hair comic and the barn. Are you confused? You'll figure it out. The window from the Super Schoolhouse looks similar to the Microsoft Windows first early trademark made since 1985 thing, I don't know. The playtime instructions have a JSON file for the captions in Baldi's Basics Plus, but it's empty. French captions also exist, but they aren't finished. The original bear trap for Baldi's Basics was from Micah's friend that does blacksmithing. The Baldi's Basics Classic app on phone used to crash when you tap the answer section. These are the YouTube default generated thumbnails for Mr. Man's blooper reel of his Kickstarter video. This is the image used on the table for the Pick Quick Nick minigame. It's also used as the texture for the pipes in the old elevator. In Baldi's Basics Classic, the WD No Squee poster was added in version 1.3.1, but undocumented in the changelog. That's me when, in the event notification mini-songs, are all 120 beats per minute, which makes sense because they all have the same notes. The bully can be seen behind a tree in the field trip spot, which is kinda neat, because it's like the old field trip, wow. The field trip instructions aren't really dithered. Most people say Baldi's humor is too sensitive. Even though the Baldi's Basics Plus trailer has red lighting shown, it's currently not in the game. It's unknown what this could have been for, but it's most likely when you get an exit like Baldi's Basics Classic and Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered. Playtime used to attract Baldi to her and the player in the first version of Baldi's Basics Classic. She had a noise value of only 2. Version 1.2.1 in Baldi's Basics Classic brought back the phone poster. For some reason, it was removed in version 1.4, but it was added back in version 1.4.1. The copyright text was only added until version 1.3.2 of Baldi's Basics Classic. Speaking of version 1.3.2, the exit button on the main screen was moved from the bottom left to the top right. Prior to version 0.3.5 in Baldi's Basics Plus, you could use a portal poster on a window. In Baldi's Basics Classic, when the game starts, Baldi is just standing there at the start, but when the player gets a question wrong, then the game enters phase 2 called Spoop Mode, where Baldi chases you. Version 0.7 was released on 9/9/2024. You better be taking notes because we got a quiz on this later. There's an unreleased version of Baldi's Basics Plus that only Miss Man has. Some special locations have been updated quite a bit since my last video, so let's check them out. The light test room was just originally a small test room, of course, with some switches, a time machine, and a math machine, but now it's this colorful room that on the other side of the wall contains a blue room with playtime and Baldi. Here's what it looks like outside. There was a new room added, most likely in 0.4, but seen in 0.5, but then removed in 0.7. The NPC State Machine Test Room has floors, but is really the same level and just randomly generated each time. This test map is actually shown on the Kickstarter a bunch too. The game immediately always starts in spook mode, and Baldi spawns at a random point on the map. And then, there's this funky chalkboard. Wow. There's an occlusion culling test map that was just a bunch of blocked blowways. Yeah, the title screen light map preview is just a quad mesh but with a light map texture. Nothing else really, but you can somehow get one notebook. Lastly, the Wild West map was shown to the Patreon and Kickstarter as an unreleased field trip, originally meant to be with the older field trips that were 3D. Can't tell much about this because you have to buy to the Patreon to see it, nerds! There were some farm sprites of Baldi talking. Pretty awesome! The bee soda, the tape, the zesty bar, and maybe the bus pass and quarter are the only items that aren't dithered. They may look dithered, but they aren't. Principal keys texture had a very slight change in version 0.4.2 in Baldi's Basics Plus. The only change that I can really see is that the texture was made grayscale. During Chaos Mode and Party Style in Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered, if you get one of the last 2 notebooks on the upper floor, all the characters will respawn on the bottom floor. This Man 12 did a poll about the most unused items, and which is the best. Baldi's least favorite tape won. There was originally going to be 6 subjects, being science, spelling, geology, English, and history and geography. Whoa. Joe sadly doesn't own his bus anymore. How sad. Speaking of Speaking of Joe, his full name is Joe Biggle. In the Baldi's Basics Plus trailer, the plus randomly comes in and then disappears for no reason. The quarter that was actually used was a 50 state quarter, which is at least from 1999 to 2008. Speaking of the quarter, if one costs 25 cents in real life and they cost 250 YTPs in Johnny's shop, then 1 YTP is a tenth of a cent. In the challenge room at one point there was an untextured wall making it white. In version 0.1 of Baldi's Basics Plus it was transparent. Then from 0.1.5 to 0.3.2 it was gray. The standard hanging lights aren't used in normal maps anymore, which is kind of sad because they were nice. But it's only used in the endless mode medium map. One of the main reasons Baldi's Basics was released on mobile is because the amount of freaking bootlegs. In the 0.5 pre-release, there was no nan appeals in Johnny's store. Like, you couldn't buy any of them. Prior to 0.5.1, the faculty name tag could expire in field trips. When the level generator had an error, you could still go in Johnny's store and it would appear red. Mystery room doors are not affected by the WD no squeak. In Baldi's Basics Classic, there was a total of 235.5 lockers, 194 in hallways, and 41.5 in the faculty rooms with the zesty bar machine. The reason for the 0.5 is because one of the lockers is actually overlapping another. The static sound for the Baldi TV is actually 10 seconds long. Take a listen! In the Baldi's Basics full game early demo, God of Sweet spawns in a faculty room instead of his closet. While God of Sweet sprite was changed in version 1.4 of Baldi's Basics Classic, his office poster wasn't changed until version 1.4.1. The dangerous teleporter will not teleport you to the bully, so don't worry. Nana peels spawn on merry-go-rounds. A tisket, a tasket, playtime song, and a hayride to I don't even care. The principal's party music are categorized as sound effects due to sound propagation now. The notebook respawn sound was made louder in version The notebook respawn sound was made louder in version 1.3.1 Baldi's Basics Classic. The Baldi jump scare sound was made more quiet on mobile devices. Although it's not listed in the rules poster, opening the storage locker or even going into a locker and being in school after hours will still get you in detention. While robbing Johnny's stores would count, he still says not to be in faculty rooms, so, question mark? The pause menu for the field trip demo is horribly spelt wrong, with it having a quotation marks and paused, being spelt wrong. One of Baldi's voice lines, captions, or whatever is just or. In version 0.7.1, there's a seed, negative 8 billion whatever, with 2 bus passes. After you get one and use it, you can't give it to Johnny or use it on anything else. You better use it fast because version 0.8 is coming soon! Inputting the hyphen into the random seed generator will just make the seed 0. For version 1.3 in Baldi's Basics Classic, you could only get 2 quarters in total. There's a mini Baldi in the test procedure door. What the frick? Dr. Reflex kind of floats when he hits his hammer. Beans has been confirmed to be 25 to 30 years old, which is crazy. Like what? Also, Beans is mocked by the principal after school hours. This is a proven fact. In the version 0.4 pre-release, if you had a grapple and grappled it onto an apple tree, it wouldn't even come down. Even though the bully is in the grapple challenge, his poster in the principal's office doesn't appear. Speaking of which, it's kind of weird to have a principal's office in the first place because the principal doesn't even spawn. YCTP says cheating. I won't have any of that when you try opening the debug menu in null style in Baldi's Basics Classic frickin' Remastered. Bad some music plays when Missman goes into his basement. This is canon. There's no Linux version and Mac OS version for the challenges demo. The fire used to have a caption. I just read fire crackling. Prior to 0.4 in Baldi's Basics Plus, if Goddess Sweep didn't have a closet, he would just spawn in the hallway. The alarm clock can distract Dr. Reflex as well when he's angry. There's an unused fidget spinner and football item in the game files. The conveyor belt doesn't affect First Prize, Baldi, Beans, Cloudicopter, and Mrs. Pomp. It's because, well, it would mess up their pathfinding AI something. The faculty door texture is a preset from GIMP, or GIMP, or I don't know. Batsum is in Baldi's office, but only with the banana replaced as a globe. On the chalkboards, every letter in Bladder's secret room is lowercase except for the I in if. The new bus in the loading screen has blue text instead of green on the bus. Whoa. Straight rotohalls can spawn. B-Soda not working issue in Baldi's Basics Classic was fixed in version 1.2.2 after Mistman tried like 15 billion times. There's a gate for the elevator closing in the normal exit in Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered. You can go on party style and see it pretty easily when the red Baldi dudes, kill you. When you get a notebook normally, it gives you 10 YTPs, but with Math Machine, you don't get YTPs for getting a notebook, but you get 25 YTPs for getting the answer correct on the Math Machine. Even though Baldi's Basics Plus version 0.3.5 was released in around mid-2022, the copyright date still says 2021! There are 13 types of faculty rooms that were added in version 0.4, and I'm gonna list them all! There's a faculty room with lockers, a water fountain, a rotated cafe table, and a round table. There's a faculty room with a water fountain, 2 round tables, and a B-Soda vending machine. There's a faculty room with 3 big desks, a globe, cabinets, bookshelves, and a computer. There's a faculty room with 2 big desks, a globe, cabinets, a bookshelf, a computer, and a banana in the middle. There's a faculty that is like a classroom. There's a faculty room with lockers and only 1 cafe table. There's a faculty room with 6 bookshelves and 2 big desks. There's a faculty room that is shaped like a C with a couple of big desks. There's a small faculty room with only a round table and an item. There's a faculty room with only cabinets. There's a faculty room shaped like a dumbbell with bookshelves and cabinets. There's a faculty room with 6 big desks with computers on all of them. One of them is flipped on its side. And lastly, there's a long faculty room with only a big desk and an item. These are rare, and so are the items in this faculty room. In Explorer mode prior to version 1.0.5, if the tape was used in the tape dispenser or the quarter was used on the payphone, you could keep the tape or the quarter. There are unused power tube images that have no power tubes. In Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered Party Style, the kick handle is the upside down Baldi head model. The conveyor belt texture was used on the prototype of the Math Machine. In version 1.2.2 of Baldi's Basics Classic, the payphone position was changed so it could be easier to get. Using hacks, it's possible to put a plus icon into a green locker. Also using hacks, but in Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered, the top or bottom of the shrink machine has the door textured placed everywhere. For the version 0.8 pre-released one, Mistman originally forgot some files for the Windows version. Speaking of the pre-release version 1, every randomly generated endless mode seed is an error. In Baldi's Basics Classic, the carpet texture for the room on the right at the starting position is sticking out a little bit. Whoa. In Baldi's Basics Classic, the school attention poster isn't dithered. There's an image of Baldi dabbing in the Baldi's Basics Classic Remastered Plus promotion screen. Even though the corn maze sign says more weird corn maze signs to come, none did come. With the 9-9 surveyor, whenever the text is read, it plays the same noise that the Math Machine makes when you get an incorrect answer. The only room in the entire Baldi franchise to not have a door texture is the music room. Also, the classroom door and Mistman 12's office door are the same. Baldi's voice in the save system screen isn't affected by audio settings. And lastly, there was a poster added in Goddess Sweep's closet in version 1.3.1 of Baldi's Basics Classic. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.